Hello, good evening. My name is Cesar Natalia Tambunan, and this is my presentations about meanings and readings. So, in dealing with different aspects of meaning, expressions were treated as though they had only one meaning. In fact, many words have more than one meaning, and even complete sentences may allow for several readings. The technical term for this phenomenon is ambiguity. An expression or an utterance is ambiguous if it can be interpreted in more than one way. So, the notion of ambiguity can be applied to all levels of meaning, to expression meaning, to utterance meaning, and to communicative meaning. So this presentation, has two parts. In the first, we will consider lexical ambiguity, the ambiguity of words at the level of expression's meaning. The notion will be replaced by the scientific term lexeme. And also, in the first chapter, we'll learn to distinguish between two forms of ambiguity, homonymy and polysemy. In the second chapter, we will concern with different readings of sentences and words at the level of utterance meaning that result from meaning shifts. There are several types of shift, including metaphor and metonymy will be illustrated and ascribed to the fact that the interpretation of words and sentences in their context obeys a principle of consistent interpretation. So, without further ado, let's start the chapter 1. Okay, the first one is lexemes. Lexemes are the basic units of meaning in a language, representing the words or expressions that carry specific lexical meanings. They are not to be confused with the meanings found in a dictionary, as lexemes are concepts stored in the mental lexicons of language users. Each lexeme has a specific sound form, spelling, grammatical category, and set of grammatical forms. They can be single words or composite expressions, and may exhibit polysemy, meaning they can have two or more interrelated meanings. Lexemes are essential components of language and play a crucial role in understanding the structure and meaning of linguistic expression. So in English, there are many expressions can be used as members of more than one category. For instance, light can be used as a transitive verb, as in light the candle, can also be used as a noun, as in a bright light, and as an adjective, as in a light color. Also, walk can be used as a noun, as in take a walk, an intransitive verb, walk in the park, or a transitive verb, walk the dog. To may be a particle, means also, or an adverb, too much, and so on. Although these expressions may be very similar in meaning, they are considered different lexemes. A lexeme is a linguistic item defined by the following specifications, which make up what is called the lexical entry for this item. First, its sound form and spelling for languages with a written standard. The grammatical category of the lexeme, noun, intransitive verb, adjective, transitive verbs, and so on. Its inherent grammatical properties for some language, example gender, like in Spanish, German, and like Dutch, Spanish, and French, they use some inherent grammatical properties like gender. They have masculine, feminine, neutral, but different with English because English doesn't have like that. So the last is the set of grammatical forms it may take, in particular irregular forms, its lexical meaning. So homonymy. Homonymy refers to the lexemes with different meaning that happen to have the same sound form or spelling. When two lexemes have different meanings but share all distinguishing characteristics, including grammatical category, they are said to be a total homonymy. Example of total homonymy is bark. So as we know, there's two meaning of the terms of bark. The first one, bark, refers to the outer covering of a tree trunk or the sound a dog makes, as in the dog's bark echoed through the forest. However, the second bark can also be something else like to shout or utter loudly, as in the coach continued to bark orders at the players. As we can see, the term bark has the same meaning and spelling, but it's different in the conceptualization and the usage, which unrelated with each other at all. The first bark is refers to an animal as a sound, like as a sound noun, but the second bark is refers to a human as a verb, means to give orders to the players. Okay, next, uh, they there is a partial homonymy. On the other hand, partial homonymy happens when two lexemes share some, but not all of all of their grammatical forms. An example of partial homonymy is the verb pair raise and rise. Although raise and rise related to upward movement, they have different meanings and grammatical usage. Raise means to lift or elevate something or someone, usually from a lower to higher position. Meanwhile, rise is also to lift or elevate, but without any help, like it's considered as natural, like um, the sun rise from the east. Okay, so um, the sun rose in the east, and uh, the rise is in some contexts, raise and rise may overlap in their usage, such as in a discussion about height or growth, but they have separate meanings and grammatical forms. This partial homonymy can cause ambiguity in certain contexts, but it can be distinguished by its specific meaning and usage. Next, we have polysemy. First, polysemy is when a single lexeme has several interrelated meanings or meaning variants, which is a common phenomenon in language. Second, polysemy results from the natural tendency of language communities to apply existing terms to new objects, activities, or experiences rather than inventing new expression. Third, this tendency is particularly evident in scientific terminology, where many terms are derived from ordinary language use. So, um, for the man, for the example, man is, according to Oxford Learner Dictionary, means the human species, males, adult, or as a verb, to operate or constitute a vehicle or machine. This example shows the specific polysemy where the same word is used at the different levels of taxonomy. Next, we have vagueness. Vagueness, on the other hand, refers to the flexibility of use of many lexemes, where their proper application to a given case is a matter of a degree. Vagueness can be observed with all concepts that depends on properties varying on a continuous scale. This is observed with concepts that depend on properties varying on a continuous scale, such as color terms like red or gradable adjectives like big or good. These concepts have flexible boundaries and allow for adaptation to the given context. Color terms like red have a folk meaning because we conceive the range of colors as a continuum with fuzzy transition. So, For the example of vagueness, whether or not we will refer to a child as a baby depends on criteria such as the age of the child and its developmental stage. But both criteria are gradual. What one person considers as a baby needs to be considered so by another person. As a consequence, the denotation of the word baby has flexible boundaries. This doesn't mean that the word baby has infinitely many meanings that differ in how the borderline is fixed between babies and ex-babies, as it were. Rather, the concept baby is in itself vague. It allows for adaptation to the given COO. So vagueness, which is like it's gradable, its flexibility of use many lexemes. Mm, but it's it has to see this COU as well, like the contents of the uterines, like that. Next, synonymy. The notion of synonymy can now be defined: two lexemes are synonymous if they have the same meaning. Synonymy in the strict sense, also called total synonymy, includes all meaning variants for two polysemous lexemes and includes all meaning parts: descriptive, social, and expressive meaning. Whereas words with the same descriptive meaning but different social or expressive meanings may also be regarded partial synonyms. So, uh, for the example is spectacles and glasses may both denotate the same sort of objects that people wear on their noses to look through. But glasses may also just be the plural of glass in one of its other meanings. So uh, it has like the same meaning, but it has the same descriptive meaning, but uh, it different in expressive meaning. So the second one is the United States and America are used synonymously, but the latter may also be used for the whole continent consisting of North, Central, and South America. So that's like a partial synonymic. Okay, now it's time for the chapter 2, sentences, sentence reading and meaning shift. The meaning of a sentence is derived in the process of composition and is thereby determined by its lexical components and its syntactic structure. Both can give rise to ambiguity of the sentence. Uh, if a sentence contains an ambiguous lexeme, the process of composition will yield as many meanings of the sentence as the ambiguous item has. If the sentence contains more than one ambiguous lexical item, the meanings will multiply. As we will see below, not all of these meanings will reach the level of uterine meaning, but strictly speaking, all these are possible meaning. Next is syntactic ambiguity. So for the overview, independently of lexical ambiguities, the syntactic structure of a sentence may be ambiguous. So there's like three examples here. And the first is she watched the man with the binoculars. Um, if you're looking through the prepositional phrase, the man with the binoculars, sorry. So the prepositional phrase is with the binoculars. It can uh, relate it to the verb watch. So meaning roughly the same as she watched the man through the binoculars. But if you're looking from the noun phrase, the man, uh, the man who had the binoculars. So she watched the man who had the binoculars. Like that. So there's like two meaning in here in there. The B is flying planes can be dangerous. Flying plane, the phrase flying planes can be read as flying in plane. So it can be like flying plane is dangerous, or flying planes can be dangerous, or flying in planes can be dangerous. C. John and Mary are married. Uh, there's like two possibility here. First, John and Mary are married to each other, or John and Mary are married possibly to other people. So this is what we call syntactic ambiguity, because he has different meaning. He has another meaning in one sentence. I'm sorry. Okay, interpretation in context. Interpretation in context discuss how the process of composition yields one or more meanings of a sentence. When interpreting words and sentences in their context, the meaning of words and sentence may be modified. This outlines three possible outcomes from a particular compositional meaning. First, the meaning may be taken over as it is and enriched with contextual information. Second, the meaning may be refuted and eliminated if it's contradictory or does not fit the context. And the last is, the meaning may undergo a meaning shift in order to fit the context and subsequently be enriched with contextual information. So next, disambiguation and elimination. The following sentences contain the ambiguous lexeme letter, alphabetic character versus written message. Um, Johnny wrote a letter. This sentence has two readings because the meaning of letter, like the letters right there, allows for both meanings or letter. It can be Johnny wrote a letter as an alphabetic character, or Johnny wrote a letter as a written message. So it has two readings because of that. Because of the words letters allows for both meanings, alphabetic characters and written message. Um, and the next is Johnny wrote a letter to Patty. The addition of Patty here makes emphasize that the meaning of the letters here is a written message. So we can be easily eliminate that the definition of the letter or the meaning of the letters in the Johnny wrote a letter to Patty is a written message. So Johnny wrote a written message to Patty. And the C also has one reading. Gamma is the third letter of the Greek alphabet. So if the letters here means written message, um, it's not make sense because there's like a hidden, not a hidden, but explicitly clues that gamma and Greek alphabet. So the letter here means the the alphabetic characters. But the rest of the sentence will not make sense unless the letter is understood as a characters. Thus, the immediate sentential environment of a word may call for particular meaning variants and excluded others. Okay, and next, a sentence may also have no possibility reading at all if its parts do not fit together. Example: Johnny's age shivered. Uh, this means like it's a self-contradictory and therefore disqualified at utterance level due to its lexical meaning. The verb shiver requires a subject referent that is animate and has a body. However, the lexical meaning of age doesn't allow for this sort of referent. Next is kind of meaning shift. So here's the pictures, and the pictures have types of shift, lexical meaning, shifted meaning, and the process. The first we have metonymy. The university starts in April. So the term of university in lexical meaning means educational institution, but in the shifted meaning it means courses at the university. So it's not the building anymore, but it's more to the courses at the university. So there's a process which building a new concept out of an element of the original concept. So the original concept is the educational institution, and they through metonymy and the shifted meaning to the courses, um, that's result the new concept out of an element of the original concept. Next we have metaphor. So they were China's cowboys. Cowboys in lexical meaning means man who herds cattle, but uh, it's not in shifted meaning. It's not the real meaning. It's not the same as the lexical meaning. Cowboys here means the person behaving like a cowboy. It can be the way he talk, the way he walks, or the way he is, the way he expressing himself like that. So the process is here building a new concept in the target domain by borrowing parts of the concept in the source domain. So next is differentiation. James Joyce is hard to understand. Understand means perceive the meaning in lexical meaning, but in the shifted meaning, it's interpret the text meaning. So we still need to see the context of utterance here. If the James Joyce is a writer, it's probably means like the writer or the writing of James Joyce is hard to understand. But if we look like if we knows James Joyce, that's he's still alive, it could be like it's so hard to understand maybe his life or his work or the way he talks or the things that comes out of his mouth. It's hard to understand. So the differentiation is the process of adding condition to the original concept. So it's like we still need to see the context of your utterance, and we still need to understand the uh, conditions of the sentence like that. Okay, guys, I think that's the end of our my presentation. Thank you for watching my presentation from the chapter 1 to the chapter 2, and I'm so sorry for all the mistake that I've made. I'm just a human, so I open up to any critics and suggestion that you give to me. I mean, just let me know if I've made something wrong or I've got it wrong, you know. So yeah. Um, Thank you for watching. Bye bye.